said I was going to show you Chicago's homeless. I'm pretty sure most of these are U.S. citizens. And the migrants still get to live, the Venezuelans still get to live in that military base, Marine Memorial now, formerly military base, now Marine Memorial, now immigration shelter, still a Marine Memorial kind of, because they got all the plaques out front. Look how many people under this bridge. What the fuck they got going on here? Oh, they got a fucking ambulance here. What's that happening here? So on both sides it looks like that. That's some third world looking shit right there. Like my shirt that was up. Now back to Trump's speech.
Versus 500. It's a big difference. Nobody's seen anything like it, actually. So as a result of this very historic victory, investors from all over the planet once again have confidence in America's future and respect for America's leaders. And it's about time we get a little respect. The last administration was the worst and most incompetent in the history of our country, but we are moving quickly to fix every single disaster Joe Biden created and make America stronger and more prosperous than ever before.
Yeah, I like that.
That means we depend on our cars more than we realize. If our car breaks down, think of all we could miss. That means you need...
Yep, our cars are important. That's funny how the end of his speech blended into the commercial. I think they did that on purpose, or if that was just coincidence.
Fares are at record highs.
Mental institutions and insane asylums. They were gang members, they were drug lords. They came from all over, and they were allowed to come into our country. And we're getting them out in record levels, just like they came in record levels. I want to thank Tom Homan and Christie, who is just she's doing a fantastic job, governor of South Dakota, and Tom Homan, you know, and they are doing a fantastic job, and the results are incredible. And every country is taking them back. They're sending their criminals to us, and they're all taking them back. We had a little problem with a couple of them that ended very quickly.
Venezuela.
And because some said, we don't really want MS-13 back in our country. But I said, congratulations, you're taking them back. And they take them back. And by the way, Europe and other places ought to start also doing that. They better start looking at immigration, because it's really hurting Europe very, very badly. And they better get smart, and they better get tough before it's too late.
They're invading Europe like real bad right now.
Policy and wasted money on the Green New Scam and other things such as that. And they wasted monies at never seen before levels. If Joe Biden had simply held federal spending at the pre-pandemic levels we had in 2019, we would have virtually no inflation. We're trying to balance the budget immediately, and because of the tariff income, which is really, it's already turned out to be amazing, actually. It's really meant more for bringing countries and companies into our country, but it's the numbers are rather staggering, because we're the big piggy bank that everybody wants to be, and they can play games and they can say, well, there'll be retribution and, you know, equal this and that, but they can't be equal. But we want to keep it so that we're the big piggy bank, and if we had years like we did the last 4 years, that wouldn't have lasted too long. We're not promising it, but, you know, all of these things could happen. We hope to balance our budget, so I don't want to promise it, because if I do and we come about $10 short, the fake news media back there would say, we have breaking news. He did not make it. He did not make it. But we'll get it done very soon. It might not be this year, but it could be this year. Actually, we have a chance at getting it even this year, which people would be shocked at, because they were talking about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. When I took office last month, we inherited the consequences of inflation. That was more than 4 times what it was when I left 4 years ago. Think of that. I left, it was at 1.4%. And the annual government spending over $1.5 trillion more than projected in 2020 alone. 1.5 trillion. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing faster and more dramatically than anyone ever thought possible. They didn't think it was possible to do what we've done in just a very short period of time. We've accomplished more in 4 weeks than most administrations accomplished in 4 years. On my first day in office, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze.
Good.
I signed an
No
order
more
creating
foreign
the
aid.
Department of Government Efficiency and put a man named Elon Musk in charge. Thank you, Elon, for doing it.
By the way, that foreign aid, you know what it was going to? It was housing all them people. They were all that foreign aid money. It was funding the shelters in Mexico, and not for the immigrants to come here. And it was also funding the shelters in Panama, or not Panama. Yeah, I think maybe by Panama. Yeah, because wherever the Darien Gap, they were fucking doing it at the Darien Gap. Oh, this building is I missed it. But yeah, they were doing it at the Darien Gap, and they were doing it in Panama, and they were doing it in Mexico. They were doing interviews with the people at the shelters that are empty now in those countries, and they're like, yeah, the guy asked them all the places there that I said, all those shelters in other countries, where was your funding coming from? And they said most of our funding came from USAID, what he just put a stop to, so that's good. That's a good reason he put a stop to that shit. Why are we funding shelters for people to come to America under false asylum claims fucking in other countries? That's such a waste of money. And thumbs up if you agree.
Balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down. Doesn't matter. We don't look at it as a piece of real estate. It's America. We're going to get it down through intelligence, hard work, and as Elon said, a word called caring. You have to care. By doing this, Americans will tell us where there's waste. They'll be reporting it themselves. They participate in the process of saving money. So many of the men and women in this room, as an example, they pay tremendous amounts of taxes. And here are just a few examples of where your money was going before I came along. These are just some of the, just taken at random. Oh, there are much worse examples than this. I was just looking at them before the speech, and I can tell you there were much worse. And there are some that are horrible, but I don't want to really say them because they're very, very embarrassing to people. Very, very embarrassing. And they're really something, but you'll be seeing it and you will be reading about it. But just some taken at random, $2 million for sex change operations in Guatemala, $20 million for Sesame Street performances in Iraq. 20 million, that's a lot of money. You know, I know what it costs to do those things. You get a cast over for 50,000, give them a couple of bucks tip, that's it, not 20 million. 20 million, that's Gone with the Wind on steroids. $101 million for 29 diversity, equity, and inclusion contracts at the Department of Education. Wow. And we've canceled all of these, saved all of this money. And again, this is just a small sample. This could go on. I could read them all day. $520 million for a consultant. I want to know, who is that consultant?
Seriously. Monica
To do
Lewinsky?
ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity conservation and licit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in Colombia. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that even means. None of this stuff, everyone's trying to figure out what the hell does it all mean. $42 million for social and behavior changes in Uganda. 40 million's a lot of newspaper ads in Uganda. $70 million for research of evidence-based solutions for development challenges. $10 million for Mozambique medical male circumcision. What does that mean? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive, participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Well, we ought to tell the Indian government, because when we hear that Russia spent about $2 in our country, it was a big deal, right? They took some internet ads for $2,000. This is a total breakthrough. $21 million for India elections, $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh, $20 million for fiscal federalism, and $19 million in addition to the $21 million for biodiversity conversion in Nepal.
That's a little insane.
$1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. We need voter confidence too when you read this list.
Yeah, we need it in America.
$14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. We don't need to give them money.
Yeah, right. They got
And in another
smart as
program,
hell.
$50 million plus another $50 million for condoms for Hamas. Do you know about that?
For a month.
$100 million for condoms. Condoms. Does everybody know what a condom is? For Hamas, $100 million. And these are some, I could read this list all day long. I just don't want to bore you. But these are just some, and not nearly as bad as others. And some are just, I just don't want to say them because they're too incendiary. We're also finding tremendous abuse, waste, and fraud in Social Security. Social Security is, what's happening there is going to be one of the great potential scandals in history. On the program, there are over 4.7 million Social Security numbers from people from 100 years old to 109. Think of that. Now, over 100, there aren't a lot of people that make it. Hopefully, most of the people in this room will make it, but historically, you don't have thousands and thousands of people. But listen to this, 3.6 million people are on Social Security rolls from the age of 110 years old to 119. Do you think there are really that many? Those people are seriously
crazy.
old. But it gets worse. 3.47 million people are on Social Security from the age of 120 years old to 129 years
hell?
old. 3.9 million people are on the age of Social Security from 130 years old to 139 years old. Now, the all-time record, I heard, is a woman who was 127 years old. That's the record.
127.
A woman from a certain country where they have actually people that live pretty long, actually. And she was 100.
Steven, this credit improvement successory by Credit Karma is stunning.
Oh yeah, it's an elegant way to show you use Credit Karma to learn about the factors affecting your credit and how to get your scores from fair to flare.
Ooh.
Download Intuit Credit Karma for free and start successorizing your credit today.
pretty easily because we have a lot of computer geniuses. I said to Elon, who are these people that are doing this, the Doge people? I said, who are they? Where do they come from? He said, well, number one, they love our country. Number two, they're really genius at computers. So nobody's going to fool them. When they go in, they see some bureaucrat that's scamming the country, and they try and talk about, certain computer language. These people say, no, it doesn't work that way. These are people that have a natural ability as brilliant computer people. It was very interesting when he told me that. I said, that's what you need today. But all of these scams have now been terminated. In addition, over the past month, we have effectively eliminated the U.S. Agency for International Development, which was funding much of this lunacy. We virtually shut down the out-of-control CFPB, escorting radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locking the doors behind them. What they were doing was so terrible. Where they were spending the money was so terrible. What we haven't looked at yet, but will be, is does the money come back to them? Because nobody can be stupid like that. And they're not stupid. They're smart, actually. And, why are they doing that?
Cook County Jail.
Does money come back to them? So we'll figure that out pretty easily, I think, and quickly. But I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government and private sector. I notified every single government DEI officer that their jobs have been deleted. They're all deleted. And it's interesting, even these companies that have tremendous amounts of money, a number of them just announced, Walmart, if you can believe it, they just announced that they're stopping. And, these companies are writing off like $220 million. How can you spend that much money no matter what you're doing? If you're teaching something, you're going to have an instructor. You're going to talk. You're going to give them a book. Please read the book. Then you find they spent $225 million on that. What's going on? And we were going in the wrong way. And our military was really, although I tell you, we defeated ISIS with our military in 3 weeks. General Raisin Kane he's some general. He's a real general, not a television general. And 3 weeks ISIS. And I asked him, and I saw some of his people that were so great, the soldiers. We have the greatest military in the world, but we don't have the greatest top leadership. That's why Afghanistan was such a horrible situation and so embarrassing and so many other things. But when we went to, with proper leadership, there's nobody even close to us. We have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. But we have the best military. But, we never fight to win. We fight to just keep it going forever. And when we fight to win, there's nobody that can even come close to us. But I was talking to General Dan Kane, who called him Raisin Kane, and I was told it would take about 4 years to defeat ISIS, and he did it in 3 weeks. I said to him, what do you think, General? How long will it take, sir? I think we should do it in less than 4 weeks. You're going to have time left over, and he did that. And we were told by the television generals it would take 4 years, so we did it. That's when I went to Iraq. I flew to Iraq, and late at night, the dark of night, all the windows closed, all the lights off in the plane, and Air Force One.
Sounds spooky.
And we flew in, and it was pretty amazing. We were landing, and there were no lights in the plane. Sir, we have to turn off all lights. I said, you mean we spend $9 trillion, and we have to fly in an Air Force One with the lights off? And I went up to the pilot and said hello. And by the way, these guys are like central casting. These are the best looking human beings. Everybody's like perfect. The most handsome people, the best looking people you've ever seen, with the flat tops and the whole thing.
Flat tops.
And I was a little concerned because the lights are off and everything's off, and even the lights in where he was were down, very dim, very, very dim, with all of the lights on the fancy dashboards of the plane.
Why do you have to turn off the
Air
lights
Force
again?
One. We're getting a new Air Force One if they can ever finish the damn thing. We're getting 2 of them, actually.
They need to fix
But
the
we may have
goddamn
to go
roads.
different
Oh
route
my
'cause it's taking
god,
a
this is
long
like a
time. We're going to get military that's going to start
worse than
building. We're
driving
going to
on a
get people to
fucking
start building
fucking
properly again in our
rocky
country
road.
because they don't build properly. This was Boeing. But we're up there, and I'm looking at these people, and again, I say they look like Tom Cruise, but better, stronger, tougher. And I like Tom Cruise, but these are better. And they said, are we okay, Captain? yes, sir, we're fine. But I'm looking at it, I don't see any lights and we're landing. And I'm used to that. I like to sit with the pilots a lot and respect the pilots greatly.
Cool.
And we're up there and, we have the computer. I call it the computer voice where it goes 1,900, 800. It's feet. Your feet above ground. So that means you're very low. And I'm looking out and my eyes are pretty good. And I don't see any lights. And the computer goes out. Sounds like an intelligent individual. It goes 1,000. We're 1,000 feet up. That's great. It's a 10-story building. There's a big plane. And then it goes 900, 800, 700. I say, Captain, Captain, we don't see any lights. Is everything? Yes, sir. Everything's fine, sir. We're landing in 3 minutes. And then it goes like 600, 500. Captain, we okay? And then he goes 400, 300, 200, and I'm saying, man, there's nothing out there. And then he goes, boom, perfect landing right on this thing. There are no lights on the runway. There's no, I don't know how the hell they do it, but I'm sure as hell glad we had somebody that knows how to fly.
I know how they
But
do
they
it.
didn't want to have any lights because they didn't want the enemy, after spending years and trillions of dollars, we have to land with Air Force One with no lights on the runway.
That's crazy.
But they were incredible people. And then I got out of the plane and actually asked my people, I said, excuse me, I was very brave sitting in that cockpit. Am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And they said, I don't think so, sir. I said, well, I felt I was extremely brave.
Wait,
Now
we
here's the
already-
problem with
this is
saying a
not
story
on
like that
repeat.
when you're a kid.
We already heard
The
this.
press will say, President Donald Trump
Let me fix
wanted to
that.
give himself the...
Were you or a loved one admitted to an Illinois behavioral health facility? A global settlement may become.
Sure. Bullshit. That's a nice little car. Where is that? Can't tell what that is. I can't tell. It's maybe a... I don't know. It kind of looks futuristic. It doesn't look like an old school car. I mean, it does, but it kind of looks like how they took the old body style of the '69 Camaro and made it look futuristic, but it's not. But it kind of does look similar to something like that. What I just explained. Maybe that's an old Oldsmobile. Maybe a Chevy. I'm not sure. Can't quite make it out. Come back, baby. Oops. Impala? Maybe it's an Impala. I think it's an Impala. Comment what type of car you think that is.
Thank you, Coach. Wow. What a nice
I
looking
know what
group
that
this
is. That's a Challenger.
What a beautiful
Charger.
group of people. And especially a very big hello to the University of Alabama. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. There are things that happen in life that are very important, and you always remember where you were when they happened. As a student at Alabama, you'll always remember where you were when your head coach, Nick Saban, retired. Remember that? Because he's done such a fantastic job. The last time I was here, that's true with Nick. What a great coach. Let's bring him back. No, you have a good coach right now, though. You have a good coach right now. he was great. But the last time I was here, the Crimson Tide beat the Georgia Bulldogs 41-34. I was here, I got to watch it. That was some game. Today it's my pleasure to return to this campus as the first president ever to deliver the keynote commencement address to this truly great American university. It's a great school. And there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Titletown, USA. That's what it's become. And I love this place. Maybe it's because I won Alabama by 45 points. Could that be the reason? 45? You know, the way they say, the polls have closed in Alabama. Trump has won Alabama immediately. It was very quick. It was very, very quick and nasty. That's what we like. They put all 7 of your commencement ceremonies. I don't know if you know this, but they put them all together first time ever. So I better do well, or I'm in big trouble. But I want to thank President Bell for his 10 years of distinguished service, highly respected gentleman. But 10 years of service to this great university, overseeing the education of 100,000 proud Alabama graduates. That's something to have on your record. I also want to thank Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who's here with us, and she's a fantastic. Where is she? She's around here someplace. She's here. I just took a picture. I said, you're doing a great job. Along with the very wonderful man, a friend of mine, Senator Tommy Tuberville. Where's Tommy?
Where's Tommy?
When he wanted to run for the Senate, you know, I said, well, you beat Alabama 6 times in a row. How can you run for the Senate? He said, well, I just look at him and say, well, I was responsible for them getting Nick Saban. I said, that's a good reason. And he won very easily. He won. But I'll never forget that. Thanks also to a wonderful person, Representative Lisa McClain, a great person, great, highly respected. Gary Palmer, Robert Adderholt, Dale Strong, Ronnie Jackson, Ralph Norman, along with Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen, great people, Alabama Senate President Pro Tem.
Betelgeuse is about to go supernova, possibly any day now. It's 600 light years away from us, so it may have already exploded and we wouldn't know for that amount of time.
Oh, wow.
But when this red star's spectacular death reaches us, it will be as bright in the night sky as our moon. Betelgeuse itself is insanely huge. The red supergiant is 1,400 times the size of our sun. If it were in the center...
That's crazy. So, when that Betelgeuse sun explodes, supposedly it's supposed to be as bright as our moon in the sky. I wonder how big it'll look, though. I don't think it'll look as big. Maybe it'll be as bright, but not as big. It's still gonna look like a little tiny dot, I would think. I don't think it's gonna be that big.
The person who invented the detached...
Betelgeuse is about to go supernova, possibly any day now. It's 600 light years away from us, so it may have already exploded and we wouldn't know for that amount of time. But when this red star's spectacular death reaches us, it will be as bright in the night sky as our moon. Betelgeuse itself is insanely huge. The red supergiant is 1,400 times the size of our sun. If it were in the center of our solar system, the edge of that star would reach past the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. When you understand its size, you can see why it would be so bright in the night sky if it were to go supernova. But if it does explode in our lifetime, it will give everyone around the world a collective reason to look up. Betelgeuse is about to go supernova, possibly any day now. It's 600 light years away from us, so it may have already exploded.
With Geico, we can easily bundle home and car insurance and...
Don't listen to them. They're not advertising for me.
Convenient, adjustable.
Nothing's adjustable. Don't pay attention to what that bitch is saying.
Telescope, which had taken over 20 years to complete, was launched. And for such a relatively short time, the ultra-modern and most powerful in history piece of equipment has already made plenty of discoveries. By observing the universe at infrared wavelength, James Webb lets us see things no other telescope has ever shown before. The primary goal of this incredible piece of equipment is to study the formation of galaxies and stars that appeared in the early universe. For example, look at the closest to us stellar nursery, a region of space where new stars get born. NASA has shared an image from James Webb that shows a small star-forming region. If you look at the picture attentively, you'll see jets bursting from infant stars. Around them, different colored clouds of cosmic dust are colliding with one another. The view is mesmerizing. The red dust consists of molecular hydrogen. You can also notice that some stars have something like shadows. Those hint at the creation of what will later become planets. At first sight, the image may seem chaotic, but astronomers claim that it's a relatively small and quiet stellar nursery in comparison to some others. Many young stars there are similar in size to our sun, or a bit smaller. The photo itself was taken with the help of Webb's near-infrared camera, NIRCam. It's the observatory's primary camera that snaps images of the cosmos in 2 different infrared ranges. Another amazing discovery the Webb telescope has made is smoke molecules in a distant galaxy. It's the first time such molecules have been discovered so far away from our planet. The galaxy in question lies 12.3 billion light-years away from Earth. It most likely formed about 1.5 billion years after the Big Bang. Despite such a huge distance between the galaxy and our planet, scientists have managed to detect chemical compounds found in soot or smoke, and it's quite a big deal since it has pushed the record for detecting similar complex molecules back by around 1 billion years. This study has also confirmed the sheer power of the coolest piece of space equipment of all time. It managed to make this discovery despite the fact that the spectrometer needed for the measurements didn't perform to the fullest after having experienced a sudden and surprising degradation.
Oh, there's the comments. Let's read them now.
The James Webb Telescope has also helped to boost our understanding of exoplanets. Those are planets orbiting stars other than our own sun. At the beginning of 2023, the observatory spotted its first exoplanet, LHS 475b. It's located 41 light-years away from Earth and is approximately the size as our planet. According to NASA, nowadays, James Webb is the only operating telescope capable of categorizing the atmosphere of Earth-sized exoplanets. The research team behind the discovery believes such results underline the precision of the telescope. They hope that it will help us locate many more rocky exoplanets that we might be able to colonize in the future. Even though, at first sight, it may seem that the universe is pretty empty, it's actually a very busy place. And Webb has all the necessary instruments to see all kinds of cosmic events happening out there. Just look at this image of WR-124. It's a star on the cusp of its explosive demise. In the image, the star is about to go supernova. It happens when a star runs out of its fuel and explodes at the end of its life cycle, releasing a giant cloud of space dust and hot gas into space. The star captured by the Webb telescope was at the Wolf-Rayet stage of its life. That's a period when a star is shedding its outer layers before going supernova. The next amazing thing discovered by James Webb is a star-planet hybrid with very strange clouds. This bizarre world, VHS 1256b, is actually a brown dwarf. Those are bigger than planets, but too small to classify as stars. They emit some light of their own and are quite hot, but their mass is simply not enough to fuse hydrogen into helium like full-fledged stars do. Space bodies of this kind aren't actually brown. They occur in a wide variety of colors, but those are mostly invisible to the human eye. What we can see is the light they emit, and to us, it appears to be dark orange or magenta.
With Chewy, get their mealtime match at a great price. Figaro loves chicken, except when he hates chicken, but has no beef with beef when the mood is right. For fast delivery, for life with pets, there's Chewy. Known for building special bonds. No one wants to be known for cancer, but a treatment can be. Keytruda is known to treat cancer. FDA approved for 18 types of cancer, including certain early stage and advanced cancers. One of those cancers is a kind of uterine cancer called advanced endometrial carcinoma. Keytruda may be used with certain chemotherapies and then used alone in adults when your cancer has spread or returned.
Keytruda can cause your immune system to attack. The brown dwarf discovered by the Webb telescope is almost 20 times the size of Jupiter. It orbits 2 red dwarf stars, and to complete one orbit, it needs over 10,000 years. Astronomers first found out about this unusual exoplanet in 2016. But, at that time, they didn't classify it as a brown dwarf, and, thus, couldn't explain its puzzling reddish glow. Now, thanks to the James Webb telescope, they know the space object's origin. Anyway, back to those clouds. As you know, clouds on Earth are made of water vapor. But those on the brown dwarf are different. They seem to be made of sand. It looks like good old sand from Earth, but it's actually not. The clouds are made of tiny particles of silicate. Another recent discovery involves several large galaxies that scientists believe were born not long after the Big Bang. They aren't supposed to be there, and no one expected to find them. But the James Webb Space Telescope has spotted them. These galaxies, as massive as our home Milky Way, are full of mature red stars. Astronomers have analyzed the light coming from them and estimated their age 500 to 700 million years after the Big Bang. It means that they came into being when our universe was very young, almost a baby. But the most bizarre thing about these galaxies is their tremendous size and the age of the stars dwelling there. The data received by the telescope don't coincide with the existing ideas about what the universe looked like and how it evolved in its early years. It also doesn't match the earlier observations made by Hubble. And here, James Webb has captured a distant region of space in unprecedented detail. This section of space is known as Pandora's Cluster. In the image, you can see 3 massive clusters of galaxies coming together and forming a megacluster. The combined mass of these clusters acts as a powerful gravitational lens. And thanks to this natural magnification effect, scientists can see other galaxies in the region. Astronomers claim that the most recent image of Pandora's cluster is stronger and deeper than they have ever seen. James Webb has also managed to spot thousands of young stars never seen before in the Tarantula Nebula. This space formation got its nickname because of the appearance of dusty filaments spotted in previous images. It's the biggest star-forming region in the local group, which includes the galaxies nearest to the Milky Way. The Webb telescope's images have helped to shed light on the composition of the Tarantula Nebula. The telescope has also detected protostars, infant stars in the process of gaining mass. Astronomers expect that these protostars will eventually form and shape the nebula further. Among other discoveries made by the James Webb telescope, you can see the birth of 50 distant stars. Some of them power protoplanetary disks, which might later form solar systems light years away from our own. Here's one more image from James Webb. You can see a supermassive black hole that has a mass of 9 billion suns. It's so ginormous and ancient that scientists are struggling to explain its existence. Astronomers have also discovered a distant ring of dust, rock, and gas that contains a chemical called methylcation. It's known as a molecular building block of life, and it makes most of the organic material on our planet. James Webb helped researchers see powerful sandstorms on a planet 235 trillion miles away. Astronomers were happy to discover this treasure chest of countless tiny sand particles. Now look at this. Do you recognize this image? Those are the so-called pillars of creation. But this new view shows us just how star-speckled that dusty region actually is. You can compare the new photo with the one taken by Hubble in 2014. This is astonishing proof of scientific progress.
Every dog breed has unique needs. That's why Royal Canin makes over 60 breed formulas tailored to meet them. And right now at PetSmart, save up to $15 on select Royal Canin large bags. PetSmart, anything for pets.
You know art, but do you know phenomena? It's a journey into total immersion, where you become one with the artworks. As the environment responds to your every move. This isn't just art. It's a brand new multi-sensory experience that's going to change your perspective. Team Lab Phenomena, Abu Dhabi.
The James Webb Telescope, or JWST, is like the ultimate intergalactic paparazzi. It takes pictures of some of the most famous celebrities in the universe. Stars, galaxies, exoplanets, you name it. The James Webb Space Telescope will snap a photo. So if you're a fan of cosmic celebrities, let's take a look at some of these best star-studded photos. The Carina Nebula. The image of the nebula with the beautiful name Carina was published on July 12th. JWST captured a beautiful view of the nebula, located about 7,500 light years from Earth. Nicknamed the Cosmic Cliffs, it is, in fact, a hotbed of young stars, some of which are several times larger than our Sun. The Carina Nebula is a celestial spectacle located in the southern constellation Carina. It's really huge, approximately 260 light years across. Massive stars within this nebula are so bright and hot that they create a glowing cloud of gas and dust around them. The Carina Nebula also contains swirling clouds of gas and dust where new stars are being born. The gas collapses under its own weight, becomes hotter and denser, and all this eventually leads to the creation of new stars. However, the Carina Nebula isn't just some peaceful place of star formation. It's the site of some of the most destructive events in the universe, which create massive shockwaves that obliterate everything in their path. Very chaotic and cool. The Stephens Quintet. This photo was also posted on July 12th. Stephens Quintet is a visual group of 5 galaxies located at a huge distance from us. About 290 million light years in the constellation of Pegasus. It's like a cosmic family reunion. All these galaxies are related to each other and interact with each other in some interesting ways. They're pulling and tugging on each other with their gravity, constantly exchanging gas and dust. This interaction is causing some of the galaxies to collide and merge, which can create all sorts of cool effects, like bursts of star formation and supernovae. Thanks to JWST, we were able to see shockwaves, tidal tails, and other amazing details about these galaxies. Their interactions create a stunning sight that we can see in this photo. Jupiter. And here's our old giant friend. This image was published by NASA on August 22nd. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and it's known for its many moons and its beautiful swirling clouds. But it also has a system of rings, just like Saturn, which are made up of tiny particles of dust that orbit the planet. These rings are much smaller and less visible than Saturn's, but they're still pretty neat. Jupiter also has auroras, which are colorful light displays that occur in the planet's atmosphere. They're caused by charged particles from the solar wind interacting with Jupiter's magnetic field. Just like on Earth, they can be seen near the poles of the planet. But these auroras are much brighter and more intense than ours. We can even see this crazy light show from space. And now, we were finally able to capture this dazzling sight. JWST's photo shows the auroras of Jupiter, its rings, and even 2 moons, Amalthea and Adrastea. It's amazing how bright and clear they are on this photo. The the Cartwheel Galaxy. NASA released this image on August 2nd. This photo shows us the Cartwheel Galaxy and its companions. The Cartwheel Galaxy gets its name from its shape. It kind of looks like a cartwheel, doesn't it? This is a giant, swirling mass of stars, gas, and dust, which is located in the depths of space. It's shaped like a pinwheel with long spiral arms. These arms are held together by the gravity of the central region, which is home to a supermassive black hole. But the Cartwheel Galaxy is a bit different from its spiral relative. It has formed when a smaller galaxy collided with a larger one, creating a shockwave that rippled through the gas and dust. We'll definitely have to visit this galaxy someday. It's sure to be a wild ride. Spiral Galaxy M74. And here comes another spiral galaxy. NASA released this image on July 22nd. JWST had to peer through thick layers of dust and gas to see this beautiful star cluster. M74 belongs to a special class of spiral galaxies known as the Grand Design Galaxy. This means that its spiral arms are noticeable and clearly outlined. All sorts of amazing things are happening inside of spiral galaxies. Supernovas, stars being born in clouds of gas and dust, and many other cosmic wonders. The glowing gas and dust, the bright stars, and the swirling patterns of the spiral arms make them some of the most striking objects in the universe. Well, we can clearly see it on the example of M74. The Tarantula Nebula. This image of the nebula with a creepy name Tarantula was published on September 6th. The photo covers as much as 340 light-years across. This is a huge distance. Thanks to this image, astronomers have discovered new young stars that were previously shrouded in dust. The Tarantula Nebula is located 160,000 light-years away from us, in the Large Magellanic Cloud. It's the largest and brightest star-forming region in the local group, the galaxies nearest our Milky Way. It's named after its shape, which looks like a bit like the legs of a big tarantula. It's a vast region of space, about 1,000 light-years across, and it's home to some of the most massive and luminous stars in the universe. One of the reasons why the Tarantula Nebula is interesting to scientists is its composition. Its composition is close to the region of stars of the cosmic new, the so-called state of our universe when it was only a few billion years old. At that time, star formation was at its peak. Thanks to the Webb telescope, we can study this galaxy better and find out what our universe was like at its peak.
Get the mattress of your dreams hassle-free. Ashley Sleep delivers incredible comfort and convenience right to your door. And easy setup means you could be enjoying more restful sleep the very same night. Shop a wide selection of styles and sizes in-store or online, and shipping is free. So go ahead and embrace cuddlier covers and wake up feeling refreshed. Shop Ashley Sleep today, exclusively at
Ashley. In the fucking world to drop something in your car is between your seat and your fucking center console armrest. Fucking impossible to get shit out of there.
Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
Neptune's rings. This photo was published on September 21st, 2022. In this photo, we can even see 6 small moons next to the planet, with Triton shining brightly in the upper left corner. You didn't think it was the sun, did you? And yep, Neptune has rings too. They're like the ultimate cosmic accessory. They add a touch of glamour and style to the planet. But unlike some earthly bling, these rings are made of small particles of dust rather than diamonds and gold. There are 5 known rings around Neptune: the Galle, Leverrier, Lassell, Arago, and Adam's rings. Scientists think that these are relatively young, much younger than our solar system, and much younger than, for example, Uranus's rings. They were probably created when one of Neptune's inner moons got too close to the planet and was torn apart by gravity. We haven't seen Neptune's rings so brightly since Voyager 2 flew past it back in 1989. So this is a great opportunity to take a closer look at these rings.
Something dark and terrible is spreading across the Marvel multiverse. A disease threatens to destroy everything in its path and leave
Well, this
all
shit's
life
gonna
in
be
the
a good
multiverse
movie.
dead.
I hope this isn't a
This is
tease.
the story of how zombies came to the Marvel universe and nearly wiped out all life on Earth.
What the fuck was that?
Marvel Zombies, 2007. Dead Day.
Don't tell me I left a gallon of milk on my roof.
For many other Earths that fell to the zombie invasion. On Earth 2149, there was a flash in the sky and a ripple through the clouds. A version of the Sentry from an unknown reality had been infected with a zombie virus and had, through sheer force of will,
Can't even get
pushed
through.
into an alternate universe in search of a new food supply. The
She was a fucking empty gallon of milk I left on my roof.
annihilation. As the world begins to fall apart, Spider-Man swings away from the outbreak point as fast as he can. He's desperate to get to the people he loves and ensure their safety. When he finally reaches Aunt May and Mary Jane, he tells them that Colonel America, this reality's version of Captain America, bit him and that he's beginning to feel ill. He's unaware that it's already too late for him. Aunt May runs off to find medical supplies while Mary Jane tries to figure out what's going on. The Avengers have gone mad and started eating people. Spider-Man did his best to reason with them, but wasn't able to get through to them before they attacked him. MJ is ready to leave New York, but it's too late now. Spider-Man has begun to turn. In just a few seconds, he's completely zombified and overcome with hunger. Aunt May comes back into the room just as Peter starts to devour MJ. He begs his aunt to lock herself in the bathroom. Peter is no longer in control of his body. Back in the heart of the city, the Avengers are slaughtering every civilian they can get their hands on. On Asteroid M, Magneto laments his apparent involvement in the zombie plague that's doomed humanity. He had attempted to thin out
Empty ass gallon of milk made that loud ass fucking noise.
but it spiraled out
I
of
left a
control.
fucking brick on my
The
roof.
planet is headed for extinction now. Magneto is determined to fix this problem as best he can. The leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants makes his way to Earth to save as many survivors as he can.
Nice truck.
Hunger has forced him to do this. Spider-Man throws Nova out the window and tries to bite his face off. Just before his teeth sink in, Spider-Man is stopped by Daredevil. Daredevil has already come to the correct conclusion. They have to kill Spider-Man. This revelation shocks Nova. This hesitation is all it takes for Spider-Man to bite Daredevil. In the city, Colonel America has managed to get all the other zombified Avengers under control. Their hunger has temporarily subsided, allowing them to think clearly. Colonel America orders everyone back to Avengers Mansion so that they can come up with a plan and potentially find a cure. At the Xavier Institute, the zombies are already overrunning the X-Men. Professor X has already been eaten, and the remaining X-Men are close to losing.
He's already a zombie or he's been eaten, Professor
Suddenly,
X?
all the zombies have their brains bashed in by flying pieces of metal. Magneto appears and tells the X-Men that they must kill in order to survive. He asks the X-Men to help him save as many people as he can. Two surviving Avengers, Ant-Man and Black Panther, flee the scene.
Of course,
Black
Ant-Man.
Panther hopes the infection hasn't reached his home in Wakanda yet.
Oh, I'm sure
Ant-Man
it
tells
did.
him that they can try to develop a cure back at his lab when T'Challa notices a bite wound on Ant-Man. Without hesitating,
Oh, man, Ant-Man's
expands
done.
his size and knocks T'Challa out with his fist. Hank Pym explains that he's preparing a meal for himself when the infection takes hold. He's already done the calculations and knows that the supply of humans will run out in a matter of days. Ant-Man drags Black Panther's body down into a secret location. In the city, a full-scale war has erupted between the living heroes and the zombies. At the Baxter Building, the absolute worst has happened to the Fantastic Four. The children of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman have been slaughtered by a zombified She-Hulk. Sue Storm explodes She-Hulk's head with one of her force fields, splattering the thing in gore. While the family is in mourning, they receive a transmission from Nick Fury. Outside, Nova and Thor are starting to struggle with the zombies when they're saved by the Fantastic Four. Marvel's first family leads Thor and Nova to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, the last hope of humanity. Nick Fury explains to all the surviving heroes the situation. The zombie outbreak has only been around for a few hours, but it's already spread across the globe. Most of the current zombies roaming around are metahumans, but that's likely because regular humans are eaten before they transform. The infections have advanced too far to be contained. The plan is for Bruce Banner, Reed Richard, and Tony Stark to all work together to create a cure, while the rest of the heroes bring survivors back to the helicarrier. Nova points out the numerous flaws in the plan, but Nick Fury retorts that it's the only plan they've got. They either fight with everything they got, or give up and die. In the Avengers Mansion, a zombified Ant-Man stumbles in and finds the Avengers feasting on their butler Jarvis. Ant-Man questions if they've all accepted their fate and don't plan on fighting the hunger. The Avengers explain that they've already killed dozens of innocent people. There's no hope of redemption or salvation for them, so they might as well enjoy it while they can. The world has fallen into complete chaos. The heroes do their best to protect the civilians fleeing into the helicarrier. In the country of Latveria, Dr. Doom refuses Nick Fury's help, believing that his home is immune to the zombie infection. Within the helicarrier, Sue Storm finds Mr. Fantastic hard at work over a dissected zombie. Reed reveals that he, Tony, and Bruce are all working on different solutions simultaneously. Reed then begins to ramble about how amazing the zombies are and how they're more efficient than humans. Sue tries to remind Reed that the zombies are responsible for their children's death, but he's not listening. She eventually leaves.
I bet you the Thing couldn't turn into a zombie because the Thing's made of rocks. So, like, a zombie couldn't bite him and turn him into a zombie because he's like concrete. He's as hard as a rock. So, I think the Thing would be one person protected from the zombie virus.
Discussed. Nick Fury visits Tony Stark to see how his project is going. Tony explains that the world is already lost. Even if they were to cure the disease right now, it would take decades of rebuilding to get back to normal. Because of this, Tony is focusing on escape. He's country of Latveria, Dr. Doom refuses Nick Fury's help, believing that his home is immune to the zombie infection. Within the helicarrier, Sue Storm finds Mr. Fantastic hard at work over a dissected zombie. Reed reveals that he, Tony, and Bruce are all working on different solutions simultaneously. Reed then begins to ramble about how amazing the zombies are and how they're more efficient than humans. Sue tries to Reed that the zombies are responsible for their... She eventually leaves in disgust. Nick Fury visits Stark to see how his project is going. Tony explains that the world is already lost. Even if they were to cure the disease right now, it would take decades of rebuilding to get back to normal. Because of this, Tony is focusing on escape. He's creating a portal to an alternative dimension similar to their own, where the survivors could find refuge. Outside the helicarrier, the battle is going poorly. Heroes like Iron Fist, Nova, and Wolverine have been bitten. Magneto orders everyone to retreat to the helicarrier, while Reed meets with the rest of the Fantastic Four.
I wonder why Wolverine's healing factor wouldn't let him not turn into a zombie.
Evolution. Sue immediately lashes out at him, but Reed has already infected them all.
That's the one thing that I think is wrong about Marvel Zombies. Wolverine should be like immune to being turned into a zombie. Like his self-healing system should be able to fight that. I would think. Maybe not.
When they came in, he scratched them with the disease. They all turn in a matter of moments and swarm Mr. Fantastic. Reed gleefully allows them to bite him so that he can experience the transformation too.
The Thing's biting Reed. Now see, that's another thing too. The Thing is as hard as a rock. Whether he gets bitten, scratching, he shouldn't turn into a zombie because he's like stone. You can't scratch, you can't hurt stone, you can't bite stone. That's kind of stupid.
Largest minds in the Marvel Universe has fallen to the virus. Tony tells Nick Fury that the teleporter device is finally finished. The machine will only work once, so they have to make sure they pick the correct universe. At that moment, the zombie Fantastic Four burst into the room. Before Tony can put his armor on, the four have already sunk their teeth into him. Nick Fury starts to move the device away while they're distracted. Fury seals himself, the device, and the surviving heroes to a safe room.